Welcome to 2021.
Hello everyone and welcome to Garden Obsessions. Yes, it's 2021.
Yep, and we just popped up some pictures to show you guys how we celebrated the new year. And we definitely had the kids up that day because we wanted them to celebrate a new year. I don't know if we can talk about what we're trying to do here.
About what?
Recapping of 2020.
2020. We're just going to keep it down low like that.
Yeah.
Can't say that year.
Yeah, definitely want to forget that. But we're going to do a recap of, what we did this year and everything that worked well for us and things that didn't work well for us. So I thought it'd be great to do a recap video of everything that we did in the garden.
Yeah, and the new goals and how excited we
Definitely.
are. We're already planning. I already have dirt under my nails we've been literally out there like every day, I think.
Doing quite a bit of work just to get ready for next year because plans have definitely changed from what we had in mind this year. And it's all good because it's a great learning experience, and that's something that we definitely love about gardening. I mean, It's just been a lot of experiences doing different things in the garden.
So it's probably going to definitely be kind of a long video.
I'll try not to make it too long, but I can't promise.
But we do keep this, like a journal for ourselves.
So one of the first things I do want to talk about is I want to thank all our partners. I mean, because that was by far for 2021, the biggest highlight for us was being able to work with people such as Proven Winners, Corona Tools, and Espoma Organics, because
we couldn't do it with them.
Definitely
with you
couldn't
guys
do it without them.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of support from them, and a lot of things that we do stem from the support that we get from those companies as well. So it's been a great honor and privilege to be able to work with companies like that.
So thank you so much, for sponsoring, for all the awesome things that we're able to use in the garden.
Yep.
And we 100% have always, believed in those products that we love so much.
Yep.
So thank you.
All right, so we have a list here of things that we wrote down from the year, and what we've done and what we've accomplished. So we want to start with the beginning of 2020 and what actually transpired from there. I think one of the biggest things that we did that was kind of crazy was actually this happened in 2019, but it all starts in 2020, where we actually moved our garden here from North Carolina, not knowing anything about our environment, what we're going to garden with, what type of lighting we're going to have, the soil, a lot of those things that were unknown to us before we actually moved the garden here. So that was kind of like the beginning of 2020, is trying to figure out what we were going to... Yeah, a new zone, how we were going to work with it.
We were living in zone 8B, and then we came here to zone 7B, and we thought, it's probably not going to be a big difference. But it is.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest difference is the weather.
The weather's different here.
You have hot humidity in North Carolina, and you had some rain here and there, but not as much as we've experienced here in Virginia.
We've had here like about 2 weeks straight at times where it's just raining, and that brings challenges to the garden.
Especially with the small garden space and the type of soil and landscape that we're dealing with. I mean, it created a lot of, I wouldn't say problems, but a lot of challenges in trying to keep even some grass in the yard. So that was one of the biggest things that I think we learned at the very beginning of this year. And, we moved on from there, and then we started, focusing on the container gardening.
Okay, so as Ambrose mentioned, so much rain. We had to figure out what to do. With the rain problem is in the backyard.
Yeah.
The drainage that there's, but that's when, we ended up, building a bed back there. And, we just found ways to make it work back there with plants. Another thing that we ended up doing with by accident was I wanted to experiment planting an indoor plant outdoors.
Yeah.
Putting out there for vacation for summertime, which was a Sansevieria, 2 of them. And
that was pretty fun.
At first, I thought, well, the fun part is just having it out there. How much is it going to grow? And, how well is it just going to do, without me thinking that there's going to be a lot of rain.
Yeah, I think mainly because the Sansevieria is one of those plants that you can literally neglect, and it does very, very well.
But when you have it in these plants in complete shade and raining so much, I really started to worry, and we were just thinking, it's not going to make it. But surprisingly, it did. So that was something that we learned right there, that can be a tough plant. But also, it helped a lot, I think, the type of soil we used.
Yeah, and it goes back again to, learning how to maintain your garden as far as, with the partners that we work with and things that we love to use in the garden. The type of soil, the type of fertilizing, when to fertilize, and how actively you stay on top of fertilizing and taking care of what's in the garden. I think that's what's going to help best make your garden better.
We had that plant in just regular gardening potting soil, which is from Espoma, but it just drained so well that it never caused root rot.
Yeah.
So that helped a lot,
Yep.
What else? What else would you say that let's talk about the beds, removing the beds back there. The whole change now, how that's going to change.
So we started off with beds, and that was one of our most popular videos was, putting those hydrangeas in the bed by the fence back there. And absolutely took off, and we absolutely loved that whole setup because they had a lot of color for a shade garden. And I know a lot of people it's a challenge for them to keep a shade garden looking as beautiful, and we absolutely love the way that looked.
And that was the first time that we've really taken on a shade garden, because we've never been that lucky to be able to have a shade garden, a complete shade garden. So
that kind of changed this year as well too, because now we took those beds down mainly because of the fact that we were told that we may be getting new fencing. Now this fencing that's back here, it's all wood, and it's not that it's rotting, but there's a lot of rain back here, and a lot of the nails, they weren't made with screws, so a lot of the nails are coming loose. It's kind of flimsy here in little spots there.
So the garden might be taking a huge change, for
far
this
as a
year.
Color scheme and design that we were trying to go with back there. But again, the beds that we put back there were kind of, wasn't an experiment, but it was more of what can we do to pretty this spot up because of the shade.
It was exciting. It was exciting to we've done beds before, like for the what was it? Where you the edible.
Oh yes.
In the past garden, but we had never done beds like that for all just decorative
flowers,
plants,
annuals, stuff like that. So it definitely that was another thing that we did this year that we absolutely love. But it's gonna it evolves and it changes. So that's something.
And I think I'm really excited for this one, because now we're going back to what we usually love doing so much is the whole container gardening.
Yeah, so we're gonna definitely go to the container route. Only because we're trying to limit what we put in the ground, or at least creating a huge bed. Especially
so y'all be seeing a lot of that, the container gardening, making a whole wall, a whole bed out of just containers, plants in containers.
And so that brings another topic that we want to talk about also is Angie mentioned the edibles. That's one thing in North Carolina that I absolutely love to do.
Miss it so much.
We had that kitchen garden back there, and I absolutely love spending all the time in the world back there, because it was great to be able to grow your own edibles. Unfortunately, here we don't have that. And
lighting. That actually, it's another to talk about.
The lighting back there by the garage. We don't have the space in the backyard at all, even if we wanted to do a kitchen garden, because then that eliminates 90% of what we want to do, which is the annuals and stuff.
And it's really not shady.
Yeah.
So like tomatoes and other things that take full sun. Maybe herbs. We can do the whole herb thing back there with certain herbs that are okay with some areas that do get lighting back there, but for tomatoes and things like that, we had the beds by the garage, but we were told that we're not allowed to do that.
Yeah,
so that's gonna have to. Yeah, we can't do that no more. So we're like.
Yeah, that unfortunately is not gonna be able to happen this coming year, but it leads to a whole different idea and way of thinking in the garden.
How to get creative in the garden. How to use what you have, the space you have, in a creative way. I think the most intimidating thing when we arrived here, the front slope.
So the slope. It was a lot of fun to work with the slope this year, because we kind of
never done a slope.
Never worked on a slope, and we did a lot of research on because the fear of, it drains a lot, and, we needed maybe some drought tolerant plants, or just something that will work well on a slope.
What plants would the roots, would take well on a slope as well? That's where a lot of the research went. But also, what came in very handy was when we got here, driving around.
Yeah.
And seeing, the areas here. There's a lot of slope around here too.
Yeah.
So we went around seeing what was growing where. Going to the nursery too, right away, visiting our local nursery.
Visiting the nurseries and seeing what's growing well there, what's not. And sometimes, you don't want to get too confused because some of the things are grown in greenhouses and then they're brought out and they look fine. But talking with the people that worked in the nursery is definitely a plus wherever you go, because they're going to be able to give you firsthand knowledge of how the plants actually, do there in those areas, and what they're, what they're actually selling the most there, and what people are not buying the most. So
one of the exciting things was when we arrived here, because we were trying to figure out the slope, was driving around and seeing that there was a lot of Panicle Hydrangea.
Yeah.
And for anyone that's been seeing us for like the longest time,
oh, we love hydrangeas. That's
just our thing. We love them so much,
yep.
along with roses. And when we saw these beautiful bushes out there in the middle of nowhere, we're in heaven.
Yeah, definitely gonna work.
So, I started to research more on these plants, and yeah, they love slopes. They love to be planted on slopes. And
yeah. So, as you can see from the pictures of our front yard, everything we put in there absolutely looked beautiful. It worked well. We had very few issues, I think, with any of those plants.
Yeah, it was just the amount of rain that was coming down again, that we did not know we were gonna have to stake up the hydrangeas, so we ended up doing that after the rain. But that caused an issue on some of the plants that we had underneath that didn't get. That was around the time that it literally rained like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So a lot of the things underneath those hydrangeas didn't get enough light, so that just killed some of those plants, which those were the petunias. I think it was some super petunias we had under there. They didn't get a lot of light, so they kind of just
but they went for a long time, so it wasn't like they were killed off and then we didn't have nothing there. The bed was looking again spectacular.
But now we know.
Yep.
But now that we're talking that we're there, how about we talk about our favorite plants? Because I know one of your favorite plants was in that front bed.
So my favorite plant in that front bed was the Portulaca, the Mojave Red. That one, my God, in the mornings, and it only bloomed, for a small block in the morning until the sun absolutely beat it down and they started to close up. But just the way they looked when they opened up, it was just absolutely beautiful. The red in that, the glistening of it, and it looked like a small bouquet of roses. So it was a great plant to use, and that's definitely something I would love to use later in the future. I know they have a yellow one. The red one absolutely looks beautiful.
Orange, I think, too. But I was so taken back by it. Just like Ambrose said, it was like a bouquet of flowers.
Yeah.
Like flowers singing to the sun. We were a little sad in the beginning. We thought we kind of wanted these plants to take off so fast. Yeah. It kind of did this slow thing in the beginning, remember?
Yeah.
Because we were seeing them so little. And then from one day to another, my goodness.
Yeah, they started to put on plenty of growth, and they just absolutely did well.
I noticed that with more time, as the plant was maturing, the flower was lasting a little longer through the day too. And also when they would shut down for the day, it still looked pretty. Yeah. We had a lot of things going on the bed, a lot of different plants, and I know a lot of y'all notice, and sometimes it can get very busy planting a lot of things in the beds. But we always like to tell people we don't have a lot of space, and especially not a lot of full sun areas. So we try to jam pack as much as type of plants that we can, so we can experience them into something like that and enjoy them.
Yep. So what was your favorite plant?
My favorite plant for 2020 was the Truffula pink Gomphrena. That just did amazing. It invited so many pollinators. That was one of the containers that we did, a three plant container. Yeah. Oh my goodness. That plant alone could just fill up a whole container by itself and just look beautiful either way. Yep. We brought in flowers, cut flower after flower to bring indoors as well.
Yeah, that was a great flower to have as a cut flower.
It was beautiful. The color that it had too, everything about it was just gorgeous. We had a problem with one of the pots, not draining and whatever the reason, and I thought I was going to lose one for sure. It came right back. It does this thing where it just branches out. So it starts growing more and more and more, and it's like never ending. So that's what helped a lot for it to come back once we found the problem of the drainage issue.
That was one of the things we talked about when we were doing these 3-plant containers is, is 3 plants really going to be enough? Yes, 3 plants is definitely enough, especially if you pick the plants that you know are going to do well. Truffula Pink, that guy multiplied. It filled up that whole container. At times, we thought the Super Bells and the Whirlwind Pink was going to be choked out because it just multiplied and grew all over the place.
Those 3 plants actually did so well together. The Super Bells was one that, I know I'm getting off topic, but those Super Bells were something I didn't want to do because I'm not a big fan of Super Bells because I've had such a bad time with them experience. But these 2 plants, the Whirlwind Scaviola, and with the
Super Bells,
the Truffula.
The Truffula, I'm sorry, yes.
We did Holy Cow, Super Bells.
Holy Cow, that's what it
The
was.
Super Bells, the trick that I found to it was not a lot of water. It needs to be drained well. And these 2 plants were just working so perfect with it. And even when it rained, it didn't matter anymore because they were just draining perfectly in there too. So, that was... Truffula was my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a beautiful plant. And we've got some awesome photos of, the insects on those plants. And that's another goal for this year is bringing in more pollinators because we haven't seen that many pollinators here compared to when we were in North Carolina.
I didn't see as much as I would have loved to see.
There wasn't definitely too much going around and exploring what other people had and things like that. But that's one of the biggest goals for this year is bringing in pollinators into the garden because we definitely want to see that. And that's definitely something that kids absolutely enjoy because I know when we had the kitchen garden, we had hummingbirds, we had bees, we had butterflies. They were just all over the place. And it's something always enjoyable to have in the garden.
And that brings us to an awesome project that we are actually right now on the process of working with. Proven Winners is working with us on getting some containers going for neighbors.
Yeah.
So for me, that's super exciting. And that's why I say if it wasn't for the sponsors that we have, there would be so many things that we can't do, you know, because I mean, everything costs money, guys, you know. But
so I'm excited about this project because we get to share what we love to do with the community and our neighbors. And one thing we did was we came up with a few different containers, and this is going to go back to the 3 planted containers to show that you can definitely have a container garden or a beautiful container with just 3 plants. So we came up with a few containers of different plants that we're going to put and share these with our neighbors. How many did we do? Like 5 or 6 of them?
5 or 6, but we might.
And we may just go out to the local garden center. That we've built some great rapport with some of the people at the garden centers here, and get some more plants and maybe do more of this because it's just exciting. I mean, it's exciting to see the look on people's faces, not just the neighbors, but the children. The children love flowers.
So I guess we're getting ready to wrap this up, but before we go, I just want to say how exciting of course we are for the next season. One thing that I'm very grateful and happy right now is about all the lighting that we've been getting sent to and reviews that Amber's been doing.
So yeah, it's definitely an investment to be able to have as far as lighting, to be able to grow stuff from seeds and keep things growing throughout the rest of the season when we're not actively in the garden.
We had a big issue in the beginning, and I think that's what kind of made us, what would you say, delay on things.
Yeah.
It seemed really cold around spring, and we thought it was because we were so new to here this spring, but in a lot of places, a lot of people were having the same problems, and a lot of their new plants that they were receiving, if they had ordered them or whatever, they were being kept indoors and stuff, and those plants were struggling. And we had them in our garage, but we didn't have that much lighting.
Yeah, so now that we have the lights, we can definitely, when we do get our orders of plants or whatever we end up doing, we can actually put those under lights in the garage. Last year, I know we were struggling to bring them in and out because
Yeah.
you know they needed some sun, but we also couldn't leave them at night because it was still getting very cold at night. And we were noticing some of the, I know for instance, a potato vine was kind of starting to die back.
So a lot of the planting started a little later, and then the plants were already stressed out. So
yeah, so we the big plus this year is having those lights, being able to put them in the garage, and you know let them do their thing until they're ready to get planted in the ground. Okay, so before this video gets any longer, we're going to go ahead and close it out here because we can definitely sit here and talk for hours about gardening. Don't want to say that 2020 was any kind of failure or anything that was wrong with the year because we definitely learned a lot in the garden.
Yeah. If anything, I think it brought a lot of families together, too.
It definitely brought a lot of families together.
It woke up a lot of the gardening bug inside that I think everybody has that, a little bit of it at least.
Yeah, working from home definitely doesn't help somebody who likes to spend time in the garden. But, you know, we definitely learned a lot. And you know, we dealt with a lot, too. I mean, just moving here and stuff like that is kind of, you know, it's a big stressor all on its own. And then, you know, trying to figure out the whole garden and school not going the way school's supposed to be going for the kids.
But I think, you know, there was a lot of good to take from it. You know, everybody spending time out in the garden, and for sure for us trying to figure this new place out. So yeah, we're ready. We're ready for 2021, and
definitely ready. Ready to get this garden season kicked off. I think it's going to be exciting this year.
And we just wishing you, you know, the best year ever. And I think this is it.
Yep, that's going to be it, guys. Don't forget to drop us a comment. Don't be afraid to leave us a comment because we definitely love reading those comments. We love responding.
Let us know what your plans, your goals are for this year. What new plant do you want to put out there? What was your favorite plant? Like, you know, get going on there and say something because a lot of people read all these comments and they get ideas too. And it's that's what it's all about, the gardening community, sharing each other's ideas and everyone.
A lot of the questions that we get is a lot of the inspiration that we get for doing these videos because without that inspiration or questions or comments, then we would be...
You guys help a lot.
We would feel like we were doing this for nothing, but we definitely appreciate all the views, all the subscribers, and everybody that's still following along with us. That's going to do it for the video, guys. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you enjoyed this review of 2020 and ready for 2021. We'll see you guys in the next video.